I guess I'd like to start by saying that joining the Marine Corps was the best decision I personally ever made in my life. When I was growing up here in West Hartford, towards the end of my time in high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. It's a big question for me. Do I go to college? Do I go get a job? It wasn't clear on what I wanted to do. But in my senior year, the Iraq War started. And from that point, I realized that I couldn't sit back and let other people go serve overseas while I enjoyed the freedoms we enjoy here at home. The bonds you make in the military are some of the strongest that you will ever have. And I still am in contact with some of the Marines I went to boot camp with to this day, and that was over 8 years ago. So it's an interesting time, and it's definitely something that started me down a path towards the man I am today. In December of 2004, there was a huge typhoon out in the South Pacific, which is a hurricane in the South Pacific. And it really messed up parts of the Philippines. So we were called in to provide humanitarian aid, which is how I got my Humanitarian Aid Medal, to the people of the Philippines. They predicted that we would be there a month delivering food and supplies and everything else. But in fact, in 10 days, we ran through all the food and all the gas for the helicopters that we brought. So we accomplished our mission in a third of the time than they said it was going to take. We worked hard for 10 days. And that experience was the first I had actually seeing how some of the rest of the world lives. In Okinawa and in Japan, it's different than in the United States, but the economy is still strong. So the people there aren't in poverty. They're not. They live normal lives that we would be used to. When I got to the Philippines, it was the first time I saw extreme poverty. I saw people living in huts, people living in shacks with just tin walls, and that's it. And it really opened my eyes that coming from an area like West Hartford, how truly blessed I was to have grown up in an area like this. While I was over there, I served in the Korengal Valley. Some of you, if you have seen the movie Restrepo, it is the exact same valley that movie is shot in. I was there in 2005, 2 years before that film was shot. And when we were there, I really realized the impact that we had being in that country. Until you go overseas, until you're there, it's hard to see, and it's hard to quantify what we're actually doing overseas. When I was over there, when you go through a valley and you have people come up to you thanking you for being there, shaking your hand, and you can tell in their eyes and in their hearts they're being honest and they're true. They are glad for our help. We would set up, we'd bring medical supplies and aid to them. It's the first time they've ever had any kind of Western medicine. And most of these people have no vaccinations, no access to surgeons, nothing. So for us to go and help them, some people who had minor injuries that to us would seem easily treatable are life-threatening out there. And to help people like that and to be able to make a difference and make an impact like that is really is something special. But while we would be out on these missions at night, our goal was to help the Afghan people in any way we could. One of the ways we do this is we'd offer to give some Afghans air conditioners or paint or wood or things that most of them have never seen before in their lives. And we would do that in exchange for information about where weapons are being held. And this worked very well for us because, as I said, with it being 145, once you have an air conditioner, life is a lot better. So we had a lot of people come to us, and so most of our missions were to go out and to find where these weapons were. During these missions, we'd see anything from small pop shots every now and again to there were a couple times that we saw full-on firefights. be a platoon or, platoon plus 50, 60 men going up the road, and we'd get attacked by about 20 Afghans or more. And the longest firefight I ever got in was about 35 minutes. And it felt like a week. It really is. It's different. It's hard to describe just exactly what happens when that first round comes down range at you. And you take cover, and then you realize this is what you trained for. This is why you spent all those weeks in the field. This is why you're there. And some people rise to the occasion, and I've seen what you would think would be the hardest guy you've ever met. Big guys, 230, 240 pound, 6'6". He's the guy with the 240, which is the biggest machine gun we have that we carry around. And he'd be the guy, you'd be like, oh, he's going to be fine. Rounds come down range, I've seen a guy like that counter in a corner. So it really lets you know who you are when those first rounds start flying. That Columbia University was a very good school for veterans, that they were very open to veterans. And so I read up about the school. I decided to, take a shot and apply. It's a school with my grades and my SAT scores, I never would have gotten into Columbia coming out of high school. Not a chance. But I applied to the School of General Studies at Columbia, which is a school for non-traditional students as well, who have taken at least a year off from high school. And applying there, it's a little easier than get into Columbia College. But not only that, is that their applications process was, it's not so much how good of a student were you in high school, it's what have you done with your time since you got out. But to steal a line from the Army, it really lets you be all you can be. It really makes you grow as an individual. Let me find out who I was as a person. Let me discover things about myself that I never would have found out. And it got me ready for college. The academic rigor that is Columbia, and the dedication you need, the time you need to spend, and the management of everything. I learned how to do that in the military. I'd never be able to have done what I am doing now if I hadn't served.